What if Naruto was the Greek ninja movie Naruto, the Greek ninja by the metaphysical god of heroes? Naruto. Greek ninja summary. After the Fourth Shinobi War, Naruto lived on as the new Jubi after defeating Madara and absorbing all the Biju. Empires rose and fell and he lived on traveling the world until he saw Percy and the hunters fighting Thorn, aka the start of the third book. Naruto's POV. I was looking over a cliff where a couple of kids with weird swords and bows fighting some sort of porcupine. I see a girl down there with beautiful gray hair shooting arrows at near Jonin level speed. Now normally for I that would not be too impressive, but considering no one had been able to fire at Chunin level for a couple thousand years, that was impressive. Suddenly the monster hit a kid. Percy. The girl with blonde hair yelled out. I sighed, cursing his still soft heart as he launched toward his target. On the battlefield, Percy groaned in pain as Dr. Thorn hit him with his tail, launching him near the edge of the cliff. He could faintly hear Annabeth yell out his name. He saw Artemis get flung towards him when he saw an orange blur. I saw that Thorn dude launch the girl towards the boy with the intent to throw them both off. I cursed and changed course and caught the girl ignoring her yells of male pig and other curses. I tossed her aside and glared at the monster, the same glare all my enemies saw before they died a horrible death. You defiler, where is it, where? And I'll give you a quick death. The monster stared and laughed. Oh, you pitiful fool, you are you to dare threaten me? My glare intensified, causing the monster to flinch, which amazed Artemis since all monsters are fearless even when facing a goddess. This aura, it's so malicious and bloodthirsty, Artemis thought. Dr. Thorn stuttered. What are why you? I looked right into his eyes. I am the demon of Konoha. He went completely pale. No, please have mercy. I stabbed my hand into his chest. Think Wesker in RE.5, a demon has no mercy, and he disintegrated into dust. Pathetic, I thought as I turned to the recovering kids. I got a good look at the moon-haired girl. She held the scent of an immortal. I glared at her. You should stop hunting big game, little girl. You and your Girl Scouts are weak, pathetic, and useless. I turned and used Hiraishin back to Konoha to meditate and think of my next move. Artemis POV. She is pissed. I just stood there looking shocked that this man dare say that I was weak, that I was pathetic, and that I was useless. I got my bow and was about to shoot this man when in a yellow flash he was gone. I stood there slack-jawed. How did he do that? Is he a god? No, he can't be. He's not an Olympian, or he would know better than to talk to me like that. Still, what was he? I shook my head. I got to report this to father. He needs to know of this entity. Just then Hermes flashed in. Artemis, Zeus has called a council. I'll bring the demigods to camp. I nodded. I turned to my hunters, who were also fuming at the man's proclamation and were taking it off on the boys. Okay, everyone grab on, and boy, don't think of trying anything. I saw him nod. Then we flashed to Olympus. Mount Olympus. As we arrived in the council room, I can't describe it. I sat in my throne in full god mode. I think it was like 12 feet tall or something, as Zeus started the meeting. Okay, Artemis, will you please show us this entity? I nodded and projected the memory. Let's just say they can besides their gods. When it was finished, me, Athena and all the other females were pissed at what this demon of Konoha said, and the other gods were deeply troubled. Then Zeus said, we must capture this entity or destroy it. It looks like a human, but by the sound of it he is not. Just the Oracle of Delphi appeared and began to speak. Near the Isle of Japan the hunters shall find a sacred land. Torn by war and famine lies the past, and a soul death abandoned. His past scarred and wronged, his time long gone, his prophecy cast aside. The ones he loved began to die, his heart black without reason. His mercy known to none, his soul damned as a demon. He is what remains as the fourth sun as the Titan of time arises. He is needed for that time of crisis. He searches for a jewel, his past. Something a servant of Kronos has. With that the spirit left a shell-shocked council. Apollo spoke first. Well sis, looks like you have a quest to find this man, he stated with glee. I ignored him because I was remembering that man. Where is it? I'm the demon of Konoha. Please have mercy. A demon has no mercy. I shot up. Father, remember that entity I met when I was hunting? He nodded. I replayed the memory again. The others were shocked. Then Zeus said, Artemis, obviously you and your hunters were meant to find him. Go to Japan and find him while we try to find this jewel. I nodded and I went to get my hunters waiting outside. Time skip to Japan. Once me and my hunters got to Japan, I changed into my 16-year-old form. I talked to a woman tour guide. "Excuse me, ma'am." She turned to me. "Yes. I heard of a sacred island near here. Do you know of it?" She paled. "How do you know of the elemental nation?" "Never mind, listen, that place has a bad history. It was the site of a bloody war fought by ninjas. It was said that a demon who lost his wives in the war went insane and destroyed all who were on the island. His heart broken, he turned hateful of humans, especially women, more so with women who resembles his loves, crushing the impulse at the sound of multiple wives." I continued to question her. "Really, who were his loves?" "Well, there was the angel Hinata. She had long purple hair with gray eyes with no pupils. She was able to disable people with her family's fighting style gentle fist. There was the beauty of illusions Kurenai, who was said to have such a mastery of illusions that you would not be able to tell if you were in one. Enko, the snake mistress. She had purple spiky hair like a pineapple. She is said to be able to summon snakes. And finally Tenten, the weapon mistress. She had black hair the shape of panda ears. She mastered almost all weapon styles imaginable. I was shocked by all those powerful women under one man. It also pissed me off. Did he force them to be with him?" She shook her head. "No. He loved them all equally. He had to prove himself to all of them that he was worthy of their affection. Like Hinata tested his heart, Kurenai tested whether he was sexist. Enko, he had to test his devotion by telling her tragic past. And Tenten tested his skills. He passed all of them and won their hands in love. I was shocked and slightly touched that he would go to prove his love. Then I wondered what happened to them. I voiced this and she saddened. That sadly was the worst part. You see, the demon was once a boy, an innocent little boy, but his father, who was leader of the village, had to seal a demon called Kyubi no Kitsune. The father died as the seal summoned the death god Shinigami. Before he died, he asked the village to see him as a hero. He was not. He was thought to be the beast reincarnate. He was beaten, outcasted, and generally put through hell. The adults encouraged the kids to pick on him and even reward them of it. I was sickened by the thought. What of the mother? She frowned with deep hatred. The mother, she said, mother with disdain abandoned him, thinking he was the monster. When he found out his own mother abandoned him, he was distraught and nearly succeeded in committing seppuku. I gasped. I heard of seppuku. When a person dishonors themselves, they would slice their stomach open to regain honor. I listened as she continued. But he was saved by Hinata, which earned her the name of the demon's angel. That was also her test of heart, where she admitted her love of him and where he accepted. Soon after, the village found out his heritage and demanded he had a harem to gain his bloodline, which are special abilities, but I don't know what his were. So anyways, at first he refused, but they were relentless, so he accepted. That's when he went through his other wives' trial and gained their love. He swore on his family name to be forever faithful. They got married. And they were happy for a while, but then the village enacted its revenge during a war to gather demons. It was complete chaos. They stormed his home where the women who were pregnant were staying and killed them while he was on a mission. When he returned, they gave him a false note of rejection. With his past, he believed it and went insane. He made a deal with the Kyubi and became the new Kyubi. In return for exacting its revenge, he destroyed the village and proceeded the mass genocide of the elemental nations. Every human, man or women, old to young, as babies, none were spared. They say his final kill was the woman Hao bore him. He cursed her and his father for his life, and he did not just kill her, he tortured her first for days before he burned her alive. Her name was Kushina. I and my hunter had tears in our eyes. They say he still loves them and inscribed their names on his chest where his heart is. I was convinced he was the one we needed. I was wondering what his name was. Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the 4th Hokage. I thanked her and asked for a map of the land, and we left to the docks where we stole a boat and sailed to the elemental nations. Time skip. We had to beach the boat to land. I checked the map and decided to set up camp in Wave Country, the village hidden in the mist. When we arrived, we were greeted with a destroyed bridge with the sign that said, "The Great Naruto Bridge," named after the one who restored hope to the people here. How could he be a demon when he gave these people hope? Zoe Nightshade, I think that's her name, screamed. I ran to her and saw Ghosts, a scene. It basically showed the Wave episode. If you did not see it, get the hell out of my story, cause more memories to come. Is that this Naruto guy we're looking for? He looks like an idiot in that orange jumpsuit, she said, and I agreed. Suddenly they disappeared as soon as that guy with the shark's mouth Zabuza died right next to his adopted son, Tool. Then it showed faceless people running from something. Finally it showed an old man slowly backing away. The bridge a couple millennia ago, Tazuna yelling, "Please Naruto, why? Why do this?" Why he was cut off by a clawed hand going through his stomach. He looked up to see a demonized Naruto with blood-red fox ears with 9 tails. I looked in silent horror as the mortal asked him once again, "Why?" Naruto looked like he was taking some sick glee in what he was doing. He leaned in close and said, "A demon needs no reason. I'm wiping the slate clean. All will die so I will never have to remember my old life, never see their faces, and plus I love to splatter blood," he said as he threw the body over the bridge. Naruto looked at the cowering villagers who were horrified at what their savior had become. Naruto flexed his hands, cracking them like Sesshomaru in Inuyasha as he began to advance on the villagers. Their screams were all that was heard. Present time. Third POV. The hunters began either crying or vomiting at the scene. Artemis shed a silent tear. She did not feel hatred for Naruto. Then Artemis had an epiphany. Naruto was just an innocent soul even if he was a man. That night there were tears and sadness for this man's soul and silent fear of what they would meet. After a restless night the hunters continued on to Konoha. After a couple hours of traveling they came upon a valley which had 2 destroyed statues on either side. Suddenly Artemis and her hunters started to see another memory. "Milady wa." Artemis shushed her as they saw what happened. "Give up Sasuke. Die Naruto. Give me your power." The 2 warriors met in the center. Note this is AU, meaning this happened during the war. We were shocked at the energy of the 2 attacks, which caused a big hole to be created. When the ghostly smoke cleared they saw Naruto barely standing over Sasuke, who was knocked out. "Sasuke, you lucky, Sakura is in love with you and she begged my wives convince me to take you alive." He turned to see a man with gray hair that defied gravity and had a headband over his left eye. Naruto waved at him. "Hey Kakashi, I got." He was cut off when the man put 2 lightning blades into him. The girls gasped and some yelled out, "What the hell?" Kakashi looked at Naruto with disgust. "Demon, by order of the council you are to be executed." Your wives also agreed. He cancelled 1 lightning blade and took out a note forged by the council. "I can't think of a good note." He took sweet pleasure looking at the demon's look of heartache and betrayal. Naruto's hair hid his eyes. Then suddenly an explosion of red yoki blasted out of Naruto, disintegrating Kakashi and Sasuke, and with a mighty roar Naruto turned into a Hanyu, a half-demon. He looked into the direction of Konoha. With a deep breath he roared the message that all had come to fear. "Konoha, you will die. All of you humans will die. I will hunt you all down. No one shall be spared. I, the new Kyuubi no Kitsune, will destroy you all." And with that he shape-shifted into the 9-tailed demon fox and charged towards his target. Artemis and her hunters all broke down in fear and sadness. How could they betray him like that? "We'll die if we have to fight him." Artemis was the one who was the most affected. Those people, how dare they damn his soul? He an innocent soul, even I could see it from here. Those idiots, curse them. Curse them into the darkest pits of Tartarus. Artemis turned to her hunters. "Listen, my hunters, we are not here to try and kill him. We need to try and convince him to help us." I explained patiently, calming them down, but Zoe spoke up. "But what if he's hostile to us? He looked like he'd kill us for being in his territory." The others nodded. Artemis sighed. "If it comes to that, then I'll hold him off till you and the others escape. Now come on, we're wasting time." At the Konoha gates, when they arrived at Konoha they saw the giant gates destroyed. They got their bows ready. As they entered, what they saw would forever be engraved into their minds. All around them were destroyed buildings that to their surprise were still on fire with weird black fire, a special kind of black fire, not Sharingan, corpses of bones on crosses, heads and skulls on pikes, and the ground literally was still red with blood. Most of the hunters were busy throwing up at the scene. The others were shaking. Zoe spoke up. "I don't know whether to feel sorry or pissed for them." The other hunters looked at her. "What the hell are you talking about? Only a monster would do this," a hunter cried out after she and the others were done puking. Artemis looked at the hunter in a cold gaze, causing her to flinch. "And only a monster would beat and damn a child to become a demon. Only the cruelest of monsters would go so far as to break a child's heart." And she stopped when she started to hear music. She shushed the hunters and followed the sound to a cave overlooking the destroyed village. It was very cloudy when she and the hunters entered to find something that broke their heart. Therein 4 crystal clear coffins were 4 beauties. The first had blue hair, fair skin. She had a slender, noticeably curvaceous frame and a sizable bust, making some of the hunters unconsciously shift around in jealousy. Her outfit comprises of a loose-fitting, long-sleeved, lavender and cream zip-up jacket with lavender cuffs over mesh armor with navy blue pants and black, low-heeled sandals. Her plaque read, "My love Hinata Hyuga, my angel in the darkness, you bloomed and grew, as I watched over you but sadly was cut before you could experience the joy of having a baby boy. May you and he live in eternal contentment and watch over your husband and father." The next was a beautiful woman with long and black, shoulder-length untamed hair. She had makeup consisting of red lipstick and purple eyeshadow. Her regular outfit consists of a red mesh armor blouse with only the right sleeve visible. Her plaque read, "My love Kurenai Yuhi my crimson evening sun, the one who kept me grounded to earth. You were not meant to set so soon, you had yet to make your little star. I hope I make it to heaven because I know that is where you are." Next was a girl about the same age as Hinata. She had brown eyes and dark brown hair, which she had in Chinese-style buns on either side of her head. A long-sleeved white blouse with a high collar and red fastener and edges paired with similarly colored, puffy pants that look like a hakama, with the exposed parts of her legs near the waist covered in bandages. Her plaque read, "My love Tenten, my little slice of heaven, you were not meant for the cold embrace of death. I'm sorry you guardian angel was not there to protect you. May you forgive me for failing in my duty to you and our child. May Kami be blessed in your presence for he shall not know heaven until he glimpses at you." Finally was a woman with her violet hair as done up in a short, somewhat spiky ponytail. She had a tan overcoat, complete with a fitted mesh bodysuit that stretches from her neck down to her thighs. She had a dark orange mini skirt, as well as a forehead protector, a small pendant that looks like a snake fang on a thick cord, a wristwatch, and shin guards. She also wears a dark blue belt around her waist that connects to her skirt that has an appendage-like sash. Her plaque read, "My love Anko, my little snake princess, sister in pain and betrayal, you above all I shall cherish. My heart went with you as you perished. My soul aches for the child we both would have cherished. As you go you took my soul, keep it safe my little snake. Become the queen and rule with your sisters, conquer heaven as you conquered me, and then maybe we both shall be free." Artemis and the hunters were crying and not the silent tears, no, they were bawling their eyes out. Then they saw Naruto. He was in his human form, think of Shippuden Naruto's face and appearance, had on a black sweater with several scythes circling a nine-tailed fox and a pair of loose shinobi black pants. He put his hands together in a cross-hand sign which made a couple others and some turn into instruments. Then the real Naruto started to sing. "I do not own Nickelback, trying not to love you. You call to me, and I fall at your feet. How could anyone ask for more? How could anyone ask for more, and our time apart, like knives in my heart? How could anyone ask for more? How could anyone ask for more? But if there's a pill to help me forget, God knows I haven't found it yet. But I'm dying to, God I'm trying to, 'cause trying not to love you only goes so far. Trying not to need you is tearing me apart, can't see the silver lining from down here on the floor. And I just keep on trying but I don't know what for. 'Cause trying not to love you only makes me love you more. Only makes me love you more." Artemis, hearing him sing, thought he might have Apollo's blessing. "And this kind of pain, only time takes away. That's why it's harder to let you go. That's why it's harder to let you go, and nothing I can do, without thinking of you. That's why it's harder to let you go, that's why it's harder to let you go." It was impossible for Artemis and her hunters to conceive this man was a demon. He sounded so heartbroken, so lost, so betrayed. "But if there's a pill to help me forget, God knows I haven't found it yet. But I'm dying to, God I'm trying to, 'cause trying not to love you only goes so far. Trying not to need you is tearing me apart, can't see the silver lining from down here on the floor. And I just keep on trying but I don't know what for. 'Cause trying not to love you only makes me love you more." All of the hunters, Artemis included, were crying even harder. He sounded so weak, he wanted to return to the past or die to be with them. "So I sit here divided, just talking to myself. Was it something that I did? Was there somebody else?" When a voice from behind me that was fighting back tears sat right down beside me and whispered right in my ear. Said, "I've been dying to tell you." The thing that broke them was that now he was crying, the desperation in his voice, crying out for their comfort but would never feel their touch, their loving caress. That trying not to love you only went so far that trying not to need you was tearing me apart. Now I see the silver lining from what we're fighting for. And if we just keep on trying we could be much more. 'Cause trying not to love you, yeah, oh, yeah, trying not to love you. Only makes me love you more, only makes me love you more. And Naruto looked at his dead wives, the ones who didn't care that he was an idiot who loved him for him, not the fourth son, no, for him. He sniffled until he caught a scent of an immortal quicker than the hunters could follow. He sealed the crystal coffins into a seal, cut into his heart. He cut it so it would never heal, so he'd never forget. Turning around he then turned into his Hanyu, which freed his 9 tails and growled menacingly, "Who dares desecrate my den? I will hunt you. Show yourself and you shall be granted a quick death." Artemis and her hunters were struck still. They couldn't believe they forgot to keep themselves hidden. Taking a calming breath she walked out with her bow trained on Naruto, who relaxed. "Well, look at what I have here, an immortal little girl. What do you want, woman?" he snarled. Artemis gulped, knowing what this man could do. So swallowing her pride she kneeled and bowed, causing gasps from her hunters. She ignored them and said, "Please, Kyuubi no Kitsune, Lord of the Demon Realm, I beseech you to help us gods in a war against our enemy the Titans." Naruto looked at her with suspicion. "Why should I help human lovers?" He spat out, "Human like a disease." Artemis flinched. She forgotten humans were the ones that killed his loves, but remembered the prophecy, "Because a servant of Kronos has your jewel." Wrong choice of words. Suddenly the air around her became unbreathable and she had flashes of her own death freezing her, though all her instincts were screaming to run. "I'll give you one chance to explain how you know of my jewel and to tell me where this servant of this Kronos character, so I may destroy him and his master, now." Naruto appeared before her and grabbed her neck, lifting her up to his level. Her hunters were frozen under his killing intent, some of which fainted as he looked straight into Artemis's eyes. Artemis was scared, not just scared but batshit scared. The things she saw in his eyes. People begging for mercy, children running in fear or crying next to dead family. But the worst part was this red-haired woman that was dismembered and was still alive. "Please, Lord Kyuubi, the Oracle of Delphi came and told us about a prophecy that concerns you." Naruto snarled. "Another prophecy? What is it?" Naruto loosened his grip as Artemis retold the prophecy. "Near the Isle of Japan the hunters shall find a sacred land. Torn by war and famine lies the past, and a soul death abandoned. His past scarred and wronged, his time long gone, his prophesy cast aside. The ones he loved began to die, his heart black without reason. His mercy known to none, his soul damned as a demon. He is what remains as the fourth son, as the Titan of time arises. He is needed for that time of crisis, he searches for a jewel, his past. Something a servant of Kronos has." Naruto was silent for a moment, contemplating. "On one hand I get my jewel back, but I have to work with these weaklings. Then again I get to kill." He looked into her eyes. She has Hinata's eyes, Kurenai's hate for perverts, or rather men in general, Tenten's skill in weapons, and Anko's want for hunting. Oh, Anko. Artemis waited, not daring to breathe, when Naruto turned to her and looked into her eyes. Artemis say that behind the bloodlust was a broken man, a man who wants to move on, a soulless demon only to distract him from his own lost. This saddened her greatly. Naruto saw her tears no matter what. When he was not in blood rage he couldn't take a crying woman, especially not from women who remind him of his deceased wives. So gently he put her down and looked away. He walked to the mouth of the cave which was once the fourth's face and contemplated this turn of events. Artemis regained her breath but then held it along with the reawakened hunter as they saw the most beautiful sight they had ever seen. Naruto was at the mouth of the cave which overlooked the now destroyed Konoha. The wind blowing his hair, he had one leg propped up on a rock. All in all he looked very badass, or as the girls thought, cute, hell sexy even. Then he slowly turned. The clouds broke enough for a beam of sunlight to coincidentally land right on him, which took the women's breath away. Then he made a feral grin promising mischief. "I'm in." Naruto and the hunters traveled back to where the hunters beached their boat and set sail to America, which was actually quite short thanks to the goddess's magic. As soon as they were in New York they made their way to the Empire State Building. Along the way the hunters and Artemis talked to Naruto, trying to learn more of his time since he was mostly quiet. "My world was mired with the corrupt, the greedy, the sinful and the cold, but all of them had one thing. All had some degree of arrogance, so true even when I was human I was arrogant in trying being the best while not killing. I always proclaimed I would be the Hokage or leader if you would. I was so foolish back then. There were many villages but there were 5 main named after the elements naming from weakest to strongest Sunagaker, Kurigakure, Iwagakure, Kumogakure, and finally Konohagakure. They were hidden in order by sand, mist, rock, cloud, and leaves. They represented wind, water, earth, lighting, and fire. As the hunters took in this information, Artemis spoke up. Say, I heard of the demon containers and that you were one of them. What they are? For a second Naruto had a faraway look in his eyes, then his voice took a sad tone. Jinchuriki means power of a human sacrifice, a person doomed to hold a demon while being hated and assassinated to kill the demons within, but that just succeeded in releasing the demon. Sigh, once there was a monster named Jubi. It was a peaceful creature till a man named the Sage of the Six Paths succeeded in sealing it into him for its power, enraging it. The Jubi broke free of the seal but activated a trap which split it up in 9 demons. Don't ask, I don't know some, but I knew there was a 1-tailed raccoon, 2-tailed cat, a 8-tailed octopus, and me the 9-tailed fox. Kyuubi no Kitsune. Hey, it's ironic really, not only did I become the thing they thought I was but I did exactly what they thought I would do. Amazing really. I'll leave me be, girl, I'm a broken demon, a relic of the past, you should have left me. Naruto went into the elevator along with the girls. He stuck to the back corner because he knew they would seriously kill him if he tried to do anything. On the way up they listened to old music that really sucked, and as soon as the door opened there in front of them was Olympus. Along the way Naruto was looking at the minor gods and goddesses with little interest, which could not be said with most goddesses who were looking at him with lust. Artemis was slightly peeved. How dare they look at him like that? He's mine. Wait, what? Where'd that come from? Oh, by the gods, am I starting to fall for him? Well, he is cute. No bad, Artemis. Yes, maybe Naruto could punish me. No. She got a faraway look and a slight nosebleed. The council chamber. As soon as they got in the council chamber they heard arguing. They arrived to find the gods yelling about something about coffin and a guy named Kronos. As Artemis took her seat they waited for the arguing to stop. Then finally, after 1 minute, Naruto, having enough, said in a silent, I will kill you if you don't do what I want. Voice. Stop. They didn't. In fact, Zeus heard him and said, Quiet, demon. We brought you here because we deem it necessary. Now you will. That was as far as he got till a heavy power shut him and everyone else up. What was that? Suddenly Naruto appeared in front of Zeus, grabbed his neck. I forgot what they were wearing, so imagine them as the God of War 3 version, pulled him close and said, Speak, bitch. Zeus, gaining a burst of confidence, yelled, You dare. Naruto punched him in the stomach, making Zeus puke up the god's divine blood ichor. Then Naruto let him go, only to flick him in the head, sending the god sailing out of the council room. Hades, Hermes, Ares, and Poseidon burst into action. Hermes attacked Naruto with Jonin-level speed, but Naruto was faster. He was knocked out with a clothesline. Ares tried attacking with his axe using brute strength, but Naruto was stronger. He, to the god's amazement, grabbed the axe and kicked him, sending him after Zeus. Poseidon sent spears of water at him which hit but just broke apart on contact. Naruto appeared behind him. Poseidon turned only to be Arcode, love that moved, knocking him out. Hades tried to call his soul but he didn't. Panicking, he mentally searched for a soul. He found 4 with similar powers in Elysium and without thinking summoned them. Damned the consequences, big mistake. Naruto saw 4 portals opening up and knew that those would be troublesome, but what came out made him go to his knees. My loves. My loves. Naruto saw the ghostly spirits that were his wives, his sole reason that he lived. Think Shippuden clothes. Hinata spoke first. Hello, Foxy-kun. Naruto's eyes grew teary up as he slowly stood and slowly approached them. In all these years, he whispered, in all my anger, in all my despair, my heart and soul have returned to me. Can this be real? Enko, being herself, joked, if not, we're the sexiest spirits you ever seen, Foxy. The rest of the girls giggled. Unfortunately they forgot about Hades. Suddenly a chain appeared around the girl's neck as Hades yanked them to him. He spoke arrogantly, well, it seems as though I found your wives. Yes, they are quite beautiful. I might take them as my personal servants. He was cut off when Naruto released his full killing intent, but that was dwarfed when his wives unleashed theirs. He looked at them, grinning for the first time in millennia. Unlike normal women, my wives kick the ass of whoever pisses them off. They looked evilly at Hades, and you, Hades, are about to see why I love these women. ladies have your fun, oh come on who can command the combined forces of Hinata? Anko, Kurenai, and Tenten no one. One bloody beat down later, which caused the other gods to hide in fear, the five were hugging and exchanging words of love. Naruto after a minute went to the bloody FUBA flesh pile that was Hades. Don't worry people, he's still alive. Naruto grabbed him by his throat and said menacingly, release your hold over them or I will toss you back to them. Quicker than Naruto could blink the chains were broken and the four women were sucked into Naruto's heart where they connected to his mindscape, sighing contently, important. He turned and walked out the doors and looked into the distance in a silent discussion with his wives. It's so good having you four back. I am so sorry about Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Stop that train of thought right this instant or by Kami we will kick your sorry ass and forbid you from coming in here and having sex with us ever again. Naruto shut up mentally right there knowing they meant it. No please I'll be good. He could have sworn they were high-fiving each other. Kurenai, being the sensible and most non-perverted of them all, not saying she wasn't a pervert, said, good now Naruto, I know you don't want to but we want you to help these Greek gods now before you protest. She interrupted his protest. It's because of two things. One, we know deep down inside that mass of anger and admittedly erotic bloodlust is still the honorable knucklehead we fell in love with, and knowing him he will want to help. And two, we sense four gods in there that match our soul patterns, which we theorize means we could bond with them, enabling use to in a way become alive again. Kurenai turned to see everyone including Naruto fell asleep. Naruto was technically daydreaming but you get it. Growing a tick mark on her forehead she screamed, listen when I'm talking to you idiots. But they slept on. Naruto even turned into his fox form to curl up into a ball to sleep. Kurenai seeing them cuddle up in spirit form using Naruto's soft fur as a pillow and tails for blankets brought back good memories. She sighed and snuggled up with them, all of them resting peacefully since they were last together. Council chamber, we should kill it. Ares proclaimed loudly, nursing his back after crashing into Zeus. Artemis, pissed at what her father and uncles did, screamed, no. Are you mad? He could take us all on. He even got Hades to sever his link with Naruto's wives. He'll kill us if we provoke him. I say we offer him an apology and ask him to help us after all he did last time. She glared at her father and uncles, all who were nursing broken bones, and in the case of Hades' cracked nuts, sympathy pains kicks in now. Zeus, properly humiliated, sighed. I agree with Artemis. This brought everyone to a stunned silence. Although Zeus loved his daughter as any father, he never agreed with her so wholeheartedly. My eyes have been opened. I realize now that although I am a god, the king even must bow to the stronger being. Daughter, please bring him in so that we may apologize. Artemis beamed when her father agreed with her and happily went to get Naruto and his wives. The thought brought her down slightly for some unforeseen reason. Unforeseen, my ass. Could she be falling in love? No, impossible, not since that asshole Orion had she foolishly fallen in love, but the way he seemed to worship those women. Hello, they're all hot as hell, I'd worship them. Shaking her head she proceeded to look for Fox Demon. Little did she know three other goddesses were in the same position, having the similar thoughts about our demon hero. Mount some name I forgot. Winking face. A giant man who looked at a green crystal said menacingly, quiet. Soon I will have my revenge. He laughed insanely from his dark throne as he turned towards the demigod holding up the burden he once held. Yes, very soon, snorting, as if bitch. Artemis was walking through the gardens of the gods following the scent of Naruto, which was actually Fox, go figure, and what she saw touched her heart. There was a giant fax, and laying on him was the spirits of his wives who were using his tails as a blanket. As she got closer, one of the spirits woke and turned towards her. She saw it was Anko. Hello little hunter, she said playfully as she got of Naruto. Artemis blushed nervously. Normally she would not do so normally, but she was talking to a woman who kicked Hades in the balls multiple times. She couldn't help but feel a little attracted. The council wishes to apologize for what my father and uncles have said. Each is willing to apologize with the exception of Ares. If you are willing to help us again. Anko giggled. She loved doing this to women. True, Naruto was the only man she'll ever love, but that did not mean she wasn't into women, and to her they were free game. Odd as the Whittle Hunter, Mrs. Don't worry Whittle Hunter, I take good care of you, Anko said with a baby-like voice while discreetly touching Artemis's pleasure points. Artemis was having a hard time not groaning from Anko's prodding. Wah! Oh gods! She climaxed and went to her knees, where Anko picked her up and carried her to Naruto, where she laid her down and began to explain about what she and the others were talking about up until she fell asleep on Naruto. Time skip. Artemis and the group entered the council. I found out the word they used. It was pantheon, I think, and they explained the soul patterns, meaning their reincarnations. Needless to say, they were shocked. So you're telling us that there are multiple goddesses that can be your reincarnations? They nodded. And you will need to absorb all of them to become whole. Another nod. Why should we sacrifice some of our goddesses to you? Kurenai spoke. Technically they won't die, they would still be them, but we would just be combined. Once we bond, we could be in two places at once. Zeus thought about it. If we allow this, then you'll help us. Again they nodded. Zeus smiled. Very well, I permit it. Remember, though he learned humility, he has to put on a strong face. The spirits looked at each other and nodded. Unsurprisingly, Enko went to Artemis. Hinata actually went to Hestia. Kurenai went to Athena. Tendon went to Hecate. Go with it. You four, we sense that you are attracted to our man. You are, aren't you? They blushed and nodded. Naruto's wives smirked. They grabbed the goddesses' heads and slammed their lips together, causing Zeus and the other gods to launch back from the massive nosebleeds they had. In a bright flash the souls disappeared and the four goddesses' clothes changed. Artemis had on a very small skirt, a fishnet shirt and a brown jacket to give her a small sense of modesty, so think of her dressed like Enko. Hestia wore. I can't explain Hinata's outfit, just think Shippuden. Athena, you know what, just imagine them in their Shippuden outfit. Naruto recovered first. So what should we call you girls? They giggled. Call us by our goddess names. He smirked and did a mock bow. But of course, milady Artemis. I took her hand and kissed it. She giggled before composing herself and sitting back on the council where Zeus and the others had recovered and began to discuss battle plans when a minor god barged in. My lord Zeus, a massive army has been reported to be crossing Philadelphia and are nearing New York. The gods were shocked, but Naruto just cursed. That fucking bastard, he used Tsunade Bachan's necklace to speed up his power regeneration, and monster recreation double fuck. Zeus, get your forces, I'll slow them do. Boom. What the fuck was that? We went to one of the lookout point to see one big as hell tornado and something in the middle. The gods looked at it in fear. It's Typhon. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Zeus, he called. Take your gods and assault him with my wives, I will deal with the army. He nodded and started directing his forces. Naruto, while Zeus did his commander thing, Naruto found the demigods. Which one of you is Percy? A black-haired, sea-green-eyed boy came up. Percy, you just came back from a quest, correct? He nodded. Yes, me and two hunters went to rescue Annabeth, the gray-eyed daughter of Athena. We succeeded. He blushed when he described her while I smirked. Don't worry, little man, I'll make sure you and her get through this. I turned to the demigods. All right, listen up, I want Ares' cabin front and center. They came up as I inspected them, strong yet stupid. All right, we'll run it like the Spartans. Lock your shields on the George Washington Bridge. Those are spearheaded by mainly grunts, so no problems. Hunters, you and Apollo's cabin are going to the top of the buildings and snipe them from there. I will hold them at the Brooklyn Bridge, which is led by, is that a tank? We looked in the viewer to see an old Sherman tank, and on it was the Minotaur roaring and raising its twin axes. I snorted. I turned into my Hanyu form and with mine 9 tails I roared so powerful it launched the Sherman off the bridge. Unfortunately the Minotaur got of and attacked before it fell. I duck over a scissor slice and I kick his chin as I did a backflip. I took out my swords and bisected him at the waist. I turned to the campers. Go. And Percy, you take the rest to the rivers and prepare for a naval attack. He nodded. Then I turned and doing some hand seals called out, demon style, bloody spear graveyard. Suddenly hundreds of monsters were speared from spears that sprang from underneath the ground. The rest just retreated, knowing who they were dealing with. Suddenly a large body hit me and a flash of bright white light lit the battlefield as me and Hades melded into one being, his conscious becoming one with mine, his power my own. I opened my eyes and grinned as I found a lot of familiar souls. I gathered my unlimited power, because seriously, he's a demon and now the new god of the dead. He is now totally badassed, and to think this isn't the end, and let loose a roar that was throughout the whole battlefield. The ground began to shake. And now, all this knowledge, knowing who and when someone has died, why and how, where they will go, all of this under Naruto's command. It felt good, this much power. So gathering his power he let loose a mighty roar that could be heard by everyone. Suddenly the ground began to rubble and crack. Suddenly hundreds of spirits came from the ground, each different, but each was wearing similar clothing. They all had a type headband but were different design on their heads. They were the ninjas of the 5 greatest ninja villages: the Leaf, Cloud, Mist, Rock, and Sand, and I meant all of them. Kakashi, who was being tortured in Tartarus for his traitorous life, looked around to see something that haunted him even to this day: Naruto glaring down on him and the rest of the Konoha ninjas. "We are so foobarred. Hello Kakashi, how's hell?" He gulped, wishing he was back in Tartarus. "Naruto, I." "Silence, you shall call me master, and that is all, Tem. I am now the god of the dead. Now I command all of you as your master to attack those monsters and defend the demigods." Unable to fight the command, the ninjas left to counterattack the advancing army. Naruto turned to see Typhon swatting at the gods and the gods trying desperately to stop him. Naruto cracked his neck and muttered, "Prepare for death, Typhon, for hell is coming with me." Percy was fighting desperately, trying to stem the tide of battle, but most others were covering Ares' cabin's flank as he ducked under swing from a cyclops, when suddenly a dragon made of water slammed into it, blowing him and a few others off the bridge as they disintegrated into sand. He turned to see a ghostly apparition of the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th Hokages leading the Konoha Corps to battle. Not that he knew who they were. Percy swallowed. "Thanks." The ghost of the 3rd turned to him. "Thank Lord Naruto, the new god of the dead." I gaped. "Naruto, the new god of the dead? Nico really won't like that." "How did he do it?" "He bonded with Hades by accident and knows he has the power over death, which he used to summon us. Now let us go to battle." Percy, shaking off his shock, and charged towards the enemy when massive tremors nearly caused him to fall. He turned to see a massive 10-tailed fox attacking Typhon. The mere sight of it caused him to sweat in fear. "That's Naruto. Oh shit, if the gods piss him off, I'm too young to be a bastard." Some comedy for you all. Naruto. 10 minutes ago, Naruto dodged another swipe from Typhon, but Zeus was not so lucky and was sent straight into Olympus. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Time for a little transformation. He chuckled mentally. He turned to Artemis. "Artemis, hold him off, I'm going Jubi." She grinned wickedly, little vixen, and started using explosive arrows, which were arrows with super-powered explosive notes tied onto them. They were powerful enough to blow up a city block. This caused Typhon to stumble as he got up. He roared in anger, only to be bitched slapped 10 times by 10 tails, sending him flying into the Hudson River. Present Poseidon came with his army of Cyclops, who attached large hooks to Typhon and pulled, making him kneel. Naruto, seeing his chance, took a mighty leap into the air and changed back into his Hanyu form. He charged his Yoki, demon chakra, into his arm and shot back down to earth, hitting Typhon with an elbow drop that sent a shock wave that shook Manhattan and sent every monster and demigod to the ground. Even the gods had trouble standing from the tremors it caused. When the mist and waves calmed down enough for them to see, most except Naruto's wives were shocked to their cores at what they saw. Naruto was standing on top of Typhon's bleeding skull, arms crossed, his 10 tails flaring behind him and red malicious chakra shrouding him. The army, seeing Naruto, ran like hell. Naruto stood up and cracked his neck. "Well, that's that." Suddenly a large boom exploded high up in the clouds. He looked at his mates and nodded. Crouching down, he sprang up so fast he left after images. When he landed on Olympus, he saw something that troubled him greatly. Olympus was in flames.